Do, 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 do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. All right. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a good weekend so far. We have quite a bit to get into tonight. If you haven't been paying attention to the news, I understand, but some things have happened. So shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble, and welcome back. So I don't want to keep our guest waiting. So let me go ahead and show you what we are discussing tonight, ladies and gents. So crazy things are happening in the Middle East. And of course, Donald Trump is losing his mind. Tonight, we are discussing the Iran peace talk that took place on Saturday. We're going to give you the update on that. And Donald Trump now deciding to implement a blockade, a Navy blockade for the Strait of Hormuz, which would cripple the global economy. We're going to get into all of that with our special guest. We're also going to discuss Candace Owens really did wreck Donald Trump. Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones issued responses to him. They are not happy. It's Sunday. We got to have a little bit of, we got to have a little bit of a comedy here. We're also going to discuss, and this is a fairly new story that has been developing, Democrat politician Eric Swalwell, who is running for governor of California, has accusations against him. They appear to be very damning. We're going to get into all of that and what that means for this California gubernatorial race. We're also going to discuss Kamala Harris has decided to change her mind. She has decided to pivot when it comes to what voters should demand and if voters should have demands. It's really hilarious hearing this now. We're going to talk about the recent changes that have been announced for the Democratic Party. That also includes the pro-Israel lobby. We'll get into all of that. And last but not least, this story is very interesting. We're going to get into the warehouse fires, and I say fires plural, because since that fire in Ontario, California, there have been multiple that have happened after that. One after another in different places across the United States, people burning warehouses down. So what is that all about? We're going to get into all of it, folks. First and foremost, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. You've seen him here before. His name is Nico House. He's a journalist, and he is also the host of For the People podcast. Welcome back, Nico.
Happy to be back. And let me just say, I don't like to judge a book by its cover. but Eric Swalwell looked guilty as hell. He just got the face. He just has, in Portuguese, you say, ele tem cara. Like, he just got the face that looks like he would be guilty of some shit like that. I'm just saying.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'll get into it later. But it does not look good. It doesn't look good for him at all. But Nico, we got to get into this Iran situation because so for those who have not been up to date on this, on Saturday there were peace talks with the United States and Iran in Islamabad, Pakistan, and it has not turned out well, which I think many of us predicted would happen. Let me go ahead and show a couple of clips here. The first one here is from Professor Morandi. He was there. So Press TV did share this. I want you guys to hear what Professor Morandi said about the so-called optimism of this peace conference.
We have no optimism when it comes to the United States and especially the Trump regime. For 47 years, they've been trying to undermine us. Before the revolution, they tried to preserve the Shah. They actually brought him to power. So we would be utterly naive to trust anything that comes from the United States. The Trump regime in particular is exceptionally dishonest and deceitful. We saw that with the 12-day war. We were indirectly negotiating with them before the war, and it turned out that they were conspiring to attack us during the negotiations. Of course, we didn't trust them then either. It wasn't as if we were deceived, but that's what they were doing. And before this war too, we were negotiating through Oman, and the Omani foreign minister said there was progress, but then they attacked us again in a blitzkrieg attack. We do these negotiations in order for the international community, the global South, the global majority, and ordinary people in the West, so that they would recognize that it is the United States that is dishonest. If we don't negotiate, then they'll say that there was a solution, but we did not pursue it. We're showing everyone that we're always there to find solutions, but that it is the other side that is dishonest. We had preconditions for these negotiations, and they've been stonewalling. So, and unless they stop the stonewalling, there won't be progress. And we're fully prepared to go back to war. We're not afraid of the United States. The world has seen the capabilities of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the axis of resistance. The world has seen that we are far more powerful than people expected. And that is because of the resilience of the Iranian people, the resilience of the people of Lebanon and Iraq and Yemen. And the Americans will ultimately fail.
Okay, so that was before the end of that peace conference on Saturday. Nico, I want to get your thoughts on this before I get to the response from JD Vance.
So let me just say, off top, the fact that they sent JD Vance to head the peace talks for the United States lets me know the United States had zero interest in actually achieving any peace deal. Because what is JD Vance's track record of negotiations or literally anything that he's done since being VP, being successful? I mean, it's the same guy who the Pope didn't even want to meet with after he kissed the Pope's ass. Like, there was no, if I'm Trump, right? And this, because this issue of Iran is more than obviously between Iran and the US, and even more so than between just Israel and Iran. This is something that could affect the entire world. I would venture to say that we're already plummeted into World War III, and it's only going to escalate like the first two world wars did from here. And you know how important this issue is, and you send JD Vance. That lets me know that, like Dr. Morandi said, they were merely stonewalling. In my opinion, this has only been to reassess their military strategy, because I feel like the ground invasion that was supposed to be initiated when the F-15 was shot down was a abysmal failure, and they weren't expecting it to fail so spectacularly. I think that there was somebody in Trump's ear lying to him saying, we can do a special forces operation not unlike what we did with Maduro. Get in with the special ops, go in quick, hit them hard, get out. get some intelligence, assess the situation, and see if we can hit other facilities in the same fashion. And instead, they end up with the F-15 and 12 vehicles in total, completely obliterated. We don't even know how many casualties there are because they've classified the casualty count for this conflict with Iran. And now they are having to do the same thing that essentially happened when during the 12-day war last year. They got punched in the mouth, and now they're having to step back and say, hold on. Let's start over. Let's pretend like we're engaging in peace talks, like we've always done, and until we figure out what we're dealing with, and then try again. But I don't believe that they were ever taking these peace talks seriously, and I don't believe Iran believed it as well. I think that was merely a political strategy because they understand that in order for them to maintain a positive outlook with the public, because I feel like every day the Iranian struggle is becoming more and more popular, even amongst people who otherwise wouldn't have sympathized with them. I feel like they know they have to at least look like they're engaging in peace talks, even if they know the U.S. isn't taking them seriously.
100%. I agree with you. Donald Trump had no intention of actually accomplishing any type of peace here. It's like what Nico and Professor Morandi just said. That was not the goal. Unfortunately, some people are still falling for this, but I think a lot of people have woken up and they know this game by now. So I want to go to what JD Vance said, because he's the one that delivered the news on the way back here. Just in, JD Vance says no agreement with Iran. So I have two clips I want to show you guys. So here's the first one.
Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. Well, and, good morning, everybody. Whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran, much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
So let's get to one of the questions that someone did ask him. So again, trying to make it seem as though, look, we tried to do what we could do and they didn't take the offer.
Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds where there were breaks in between negotiations. How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Besson a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
So again, Nico here, he said, oh, we were negotiating in good faith.
You have to announce that when you're actually negotiating in good faith. Like, it's funny when they snitch on themselves like that. He's like, because that wasn't really the question. The question was like, how often were you communicating? And he's like, well, we were communicating really well because we were negotiating in good faith. In case that's your next question, right?
Right.
Right. It's hilarious. These clowns are hilarious.
And they knew going into this, and that's the other thing. Like, Iran is not stupid. They're not fooled. They didn't. Again, like Professor Morandi said, they didn't take the U.S. to be serious about this. Like, they do this to put it on the world stage. Same thing like when South Africa took Israel to the ICJ. Like, they did it to put it on the world stage. Like, they knew the ICJ wasn't going to actually hold Israel accountable, but it gave it a global face, and everybody across the world was able to see what Israel really is doing. And I think that's the thing, right? So the reality is here, they want Iran to remove any type of nuclear capability. They want to take Iran's uranium, Like these are these are
These are
non-starters.
ridiculous terms. Like all the uranium that Iran has already enriched, the United States wants Iran to hand it over. Like, and then dismantle all of their nuclear facilities, which is a stipulation that literally no sovereign country in the world has been asked to do except for Iran, despite the majority of those sovereign countries, as we know, already having nuclear weapons and continuing to enrich uranium, even if it may not be for nuclear purposes. And obviously a stipulation that we've never heard anyone ask of Israel. So what are we talking about here? Like, you went into this negotiation. These, I don't know if you remember, Sabs, but these are actually more or less the same terms that led to this war starting to begin with. And after Iran has been handing it to you, handing it to all the GCC Gulf states, handing it to Israel, and y'all haven't been able to do a thing about it since the start of this war, you thought that like they were going to turn around and then, oh, actually these terms are acceptable to us now. When they be beating y'all ass for $10 billion a year on a military budget, and y'all got a $1 trillion, about to be $1.5 trillion military budget, and you can't even dent Iran. You haven't hit we haven't heard about a single underground military facility from Iran being hit so far, even though they're using bunker busters.
And they really can't do it unless they go in on the ground. Like that.
Exactly.
And they know that, and they know that that would be a disaster. So I want to show people what Iran said about this, because we have to show, both sides here, both statements. The Pakistan talks collapsed. Iran's statement is precise. The success of this process depends on the seriousness and good faith of the other side, refraining from excessive demands and unlawful conditions. Excessive demands equals the U.S. demanding Iran surrender its nuclear program and recognize Israel. Unlawful conditions equals the U.S. demanded Iran waive war reparations it is legally owed. It did not walk away from peace. Iran walked away from humiliation. There is a difference. Like, imagine they're asking them to give up all these things after they kill. We still got to remind people, they killed an entire school, a girls' school. They killed all those kids. They've bombed multiple universities. They've destroyed their bridges. And they're saying, oh, by the way, you have to give up your nuclear capability and all this stuff too.
Oh, and that they don't fund Hamas or Hezbollah. Like, how can you ask Iran not to continue funding Hezbollah, which is effectively the military and the ruling party of Lebanon, when Israel is constantly bombing them as we speak in the middle of peace talks? Because one of the reasons that these peace talks almost fell through from the beginning is because, as an ally of the U.S., Israel is not allowed to bomb, or was not allowed to bomb, Lebanon, an ally of Iran. And then Trump tried to play stupid as if he didn't know that was part of the process, part of the agreement. But like Iran, I have a lot of respect for Iran, because knowing that these peace talks could have fallen through at that very moment, and still making out a statement like, yo, didn't we tell y'all can't attack our allies either? Like, we don't care. Like, yeah, it's not us, but it's our allies, and we're not like y'all. We don't throw our allies under the bus just for our own personal interests. I think it's also important to mention that since these peace talks have taken place, roughly like 30 or 40,000 Iranians, 40 million, some crazy number of Iranians have volunteered now to become part of the fight during this conflict with the United States. It's some insane number, and I'm not surprised, because we saw something similar happen with Venezuela right before Maduro was kidnapped, with a spike in the amount of militia that joined, which is why the U.S. won't commit to a ground invasion of Venezuela, despite Delcy Rodriguez, who was part of Maduro's administration, still being in charge. So it's there. I don't see, Sabby, I don't know how many times we've talked about Iran, but I've maintained for years now, this is exactly what would happen. Like, we even with this blockade, for example, someone want to explain to me the military strike, because you're not going to send more ships, at least at the moment, to Iran or to the Arabian Sea. You can't, right? Because you're going to have to worry about, like, what if Yemen just turns around and pops them all on everybody that's on the way there, right? Which is a huge possibility. And now also the ships that you even have in the sea right now could be hit on their way back. So there's that problem. But then on top of that, they're expected to have enough supplies, Sabby, to conduct a blockade of the Hormuz Strait and simultaneously defend themselves and their allies against Iran's barrages and attack Iran at the same time. Somewhat, the math ain't really mathing, arithmetically speaking, at all in that situation. And right now, as far as we know, NATO states have, or NATO countries rather, don't have any intention on helping enforce this blockade. So where's the arsenal coming from?
No, the U.S. started this. The U.S. and Israel started this. They're in this on their own. But I want to show people what Trump said, because this just goes to show you the unseriousness that we're dealing with right now. So they were asking Donald Trump here about making the deal. Listen to what he said.
In addition to that, we're negotiating. Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me.
So everybody hear that? He said it doesn't matter to him whether or not a deal is actually made. I mean, just saying the quiet part there, like out loud. And then I want to show you guys this, because this guy brought up something that I have not even thought about. The people who were sent there, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Listen to what he says about Jared Kushner.
Of course.
Somebody tell me what's wrong with this picture. U.S. officials going to Pakistan. You know what the fucking problem is? Jared Kushner is not a U.S. official. He's a private fucking citizen. He's been doing negotiations on behalf of the United States people for the entirety of Trump's presidency. It's fucking absurd. He's not an acting U.S. official. Let that sink in. He only represents Donald Trump and his personal interest. And that's why he's over there. He is the person that is responsible for the Gaza real estate deals, all of the real estate deals that Trump is doing, because he can't do it as president. So he just has Jared Kushner sit in and do all this bullshit for his businesses and make him millions of dollars, billions of dollars. It's so crazy, man.
It really is crazy. And
my only caveat would be, yeah, it's partially for Trump, but it's mostly for Israel. And my friend Kyle actually made a very good point. He said, you want to know who controls the presidency? Look who's standing behind them when they give speeches. And it's always Kushner and Witkoff all the time.
There you go.
And
every
look
time.
who, like, and JD Vance is going and Kushner is behind him. Witkoff makes sense. At least he's an official. But Kushner, what does Kushner know about military strategy, negotiations? Like, what does he have to offer? He's just there to protect the interests of Israel.
But Nico, to his point, how is this even legal? How is this even allowed? Jared Kushner is not a member of the Trump administration. And I feel like everybody should be screaming this at the rooftops. How is he making deals on behalf of the U.S. government, and he is not even a member of the administration? He is a private citizen.
Yeah, it's a major conflict of interest, because when he's making business deals that we know Trump and his family can directly or indirectly profit from, and he's working on behalf of Trump's administration as a private citizen, not saying that we don't see stuff like that happen to some degree, but this isn't like a small, like, okay, maybe he's getting involved with some real estate deals in New York. No, this man is he's having global discussions with world leaders, dictating policy, international policy, in a way that obviously will benefit Trump, not just Trump, but all of his Epstein class cronies as well. And we have absolutely no way to use a legal system to hold him accountable as an official. That's the biggest problem that we have right now. If we wanted to, quote, impeach him for whatever reason, we couldn't do so because he doesn't have a position. So the best thing we could hope for is that at some point maybe a court or somebody would sue him and a court would get involved. But yeah, right, who's going to sue him? He's he's president's son-in-law.
But I mean, like, Congress isn't even saying what that guy just said. Like,
the
Congress
Democrats don't say anything.
No, they're not saying anything. I'm like,
they can't though. They can, because we just had Joe Biden, the Hunter Biden situation, and their whole argument for Hunter Biden is what? He's a private citizen.
Yeah. I want to get into this blockade because Donald Trump has announced a Navy blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. And that actually starts with also on Saturday, there was this U.S. ship that I guess the U.S. did try to send a ship through the Strait of Hormuz. And they were saying that it went through with no problem. However, later on, Iran, they released this video footage here of the ship being told to leave. So everyone listen to this.
U.S. Navy warship 121. This is Sepang Navy Station. You must alter course and go back to the Indian Ocean immediately. If you don't obey my order, you will be targeted. Out.
This is Coalition Warship 121. Engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. No challenge is attended to you.
U.S. Navy warship transiting in the vicinity for a report and Oman Sea. This is Sabah Navy. This is Sabah Navy. Last warning, last warning, last warning.
Goes to High Island 4.
Attention all vessels, attention all vessels, attention all vessels in Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepah Navy. If you see any warship in your vicinity, keep a distance more than 10 miles from them because I'm ready to open fire on them without any warning.
Yeah, see, Donald Trump and JD Vance, they were all lying. They were saying that we had a US ship go through with no problem. And then they released this footage showing that no, they were telling them that if you don't turn around and leave now, that they will fire upon them. And so this is why I said it's good to watch independent media, because corporate media was not telling people this side of it. They were just saying, oh, the US ship got through just fine in the Strait of Hormuz today.
Right now we don't know if that ship was destroyed or not. They probably did turn around, to be honest with you, because like if a bunch of U.S. ships were passing the Strait of Hormuz, we would know because Iran would say something about it, and Trump would be a little bit more braggadocious and be a little bit, and other officials would be specific if that was happening. But they probably did turn around after they heard that, like, hey man, they're not playing. Otherwise, we have a bunch of sailors that are about to die, lose their lives, and we won't even know why. We won't even know what happened. We won't know how many. We won't know how many people died. The impact and the implications of them classifying the casualties of this war is serious, because now we are at a point where people are losing their friends and their family, and we don't know if they could be prosecuted. They could probably. I know at least the military, they definitely could be prosecuted in the UCMJ. If somebody says, I got to tell somebody about my friend dying because I'm about to be deployed. That was a really good friend of mine. This is a situation. We don't agree with this war. I want to say something about it. They could be prosecuted on the UCMJ, like the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And it's all because they want to tell the truth about the casualties that are lost, and which is crazy because I remember during the Iraq War, they will always make a huge spectacle whenever casualties were lost. And this time they're hiding them. And I still maintain that is largely because they don't want U.S. citizens to find out that we have lost more people due to this war with Iran than Israel has, despite the fact that we all know this is Israel's war.
Exactly.
Because they know that people will lose their shit.
Exactly. Now, on Sunday, Donald Trump made this announcement about a blockade, and this would be a global economic disaster, you guys. So I want to show you what he said here. So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. He also goes on to say right here in red, I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. The blockade will begin shortly. So this is all out craziness. And for those who don't understand, again, like this will be a global economic disaster. So he did talk about this on, I believe this was Fox News as well. Yeah, Trump announces naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz.
Also, but we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever.
That's
it is.
crazy.
It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is.
But that's capitalism, though, which Donald
I know,
Trump
that's what I thought. That's what I was just about to say.
That's the capitalist system, right? But the fact that he can just go in and say, we're just going to block, that's it. We're doing a naval blockade. None of these ships are getting through. That is essentially like leading
you
to
also
a
understand.
global disaster.
Do you understand also what he's effectively saying? You're basically saying we're ready to go to war with China right now.
Right.
Because what he didn't say in that tweet and what he's been refusing to say in interviews, almost all U.S. officials actually have been refusing to say this in interviews. It's not just that Iran is charging a toll. It's specifically that those tolls have to be paid in yuan, in the Chinese yuan. So, and it's China. Obviously, China is one of the countries allowed to send their merchant ships through. So, you're basically trying to say that we're prepared to go to war with China. And if you attack bro, I do not want to know what's going to happen if a Chinese slip just vibing, rocking, sliding through there, and they just say boom. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I honestly, because I can't tell you. I hope. Well, actually, no. I honestly, I don't hope that China shows restraint. I was going to say I hope that China shows restraint, but no, I don't want that. I want China to retaliate. I want them to retaliate because if China does retaliate, then the U.S. has to start taking them seriously, and this will probably be over much quicker, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but everything that Donald Trump is doing right now is leading us into a possible World War III. It's not getting us towards peace. It's escalating this entire conflict because the reality is, and the U.S. government knows this, we can't beat China. Okay,
nobody can. Nobody can. No, do you have to put this in the context of like what we're seeing happen right now? Y'all do know like a lot of the weapons that Iran is using. These are like hand-me-downs from China. Hand-me-downs. This isn't the tech that China has available and can use at any moment. We don't know how advanced China's military technology is. We don't know. But we do know those supersonics, those hypersonics that Iran has used against Israel, they came from China. And we also know that those hypersonics were B-list technology. It was like they gave them to Iran to test to see if they would be effective. And if those hypersonics can penetrate Israel and the United States defenses that easily, and that isn't even China's best technology, the U.S. is screwed. There's no way that we could beat China. We have zero idea of what their actual capability is. We didn't even have a good idea of what Iran's capability is. They got caught off guard by one hypersonic. So this is China, for Christ's sakes. Like, there's no way we can't win. And it's once again, I think that we can all probably agree. It looks like somebody is plummeting the world's economy on purpose.
Yes. And that's the point I'm trying to get to is like, they want a collapse. And I'll get into that a little bit later about why I think that is. But China did issue a response. So you guys got to know that China does work along with Iran here. So does Russia. Listen to what they said here about the Strait of Hormuz, about that blockade, etc.
For disruptions to the passage through the Strait of Hormuz is the illegal U.S.-Israeli military operations against Iran. Ceasefire as well as peace and stability in the Gulf region are the fundamental prerequisites to keep the international shipping route safe and unimpeded. Parties need to work together to promote de-escalation and prevent regional turmoil from having a greater impact on global economy and energy security.
Man, it sounds so reasonable. It's so weird hearing reasonable politicians speak. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, it's true. And then the other one I wanted to show as well, Donald Trump did respond. So a reporter is asking him or is saying that China is preparing to ship weapons to Iran. And listen to what he says here.
China is preparing to ship weapons to Iran.
Well, if China does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
What problems? What problems? What problems are you gonna give? Last time Trump made a huge threat like that to China was like in 2018, whenever there was that whole farm technology thing that happened, a trade war. Do you know what China did? They said, okay, and they brought all of their money to Brazil. And Brazil made like 60 billion in like a year and some change. And China hasn't looked back. There's nothing that the United States has that China could, because they've just been toiling in the background, not ruffling anybody's feathers, and biding their time for this moment. They're about to use. I don't know if you've seen the Taiwanese politician. I wish I could remember her name, but basically she's from the opposition party that supports China, and she just went on a tour with Xi Jinping because they know if this war continues, Taiwan imports 95 to 96% of all of their energy, and the majority of that comes from OPEC GCC countries. So yeah, we don't want to, be paying 300% more than what we were paying last year. So that party now, the pro-China party is probably going to win the midterms. The president will remain the same, who is anti-China, but the pro-China party is probably going to win the midterms based off of what we're seeing right now. So
Right.
yeah, the grip is
Right.
slipping and China is picking up the pieces.
Right. Talks are resuming with China and Taiwan now, for those who are not aware. And so let me explain why I think they want a collapse. So the billionaire class, the elites, the Miriam Adelsons and all of them, and that includes Trump too. He's the president, but he's also a billionaire. And he was a
Or
billionaire
was.
before he was president, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that they want a collapse because they believe that out of the collapse, there will be struggle and there will be suffering. And out of that will come compliance and obedience, and that we won't protest. We won't complain. We'll be happy to get what we get. In other words, out of this economic collapse will create some type of order. It's this whole, philosophy about out of chaos, we will get order. I believe they want an economic collapse. Like, listen to the things that they're saying at the World Economic Forum. Listen to the way these elites are talking.
They're silly though, because that might have worked when the world thought we didn't have options. But I know we make jokes about passport boys, but people are fully aware they don't have to deal with the United States or Israel's bullshit anymore. If people feel like they're cornered, like, you don't corner a wild animal after they've been starved for 2 months, right? Because now you start to look like food. Because if I know that the worst consequence is like I could go to jail, okay, well, if I don't pay my taxes and I don't have this and I don't have that, like, what's the point? At least there I get 3 square minutes a day and I still made my point. People, you can't arrest the entire country. People are going to get pissed. What they're creating the circumstances for without realizing it is revolution, actually. That's what they're creating circumstances for without realizing it. Because I kid you not, I think that everybody probably recognizes that Iran 3 months ago to half of the Western world was the evil, radical Islamic enemy, right? They had a radical Islamic regime with Khamenei, the senior. And now that they've the United States decided to launch this war with Iran, and Israel decided to launch this war with Iran, now that people have done their own research, independent media is a factor now. People have started putting two and two together, and now they're like, hold up, my bad. We had y'all pegged all wrong. That was us again. And the entire narrative has shifted once again, right under the elite's noses. So I agree with you. That's exactly what they think will happen. And I do believe that they're trying to throw the world into and plummet, throw the world into chaos and plummet the economy out of desperation. Because we have to also factor in the fact that the Epstein files have been released. And whoever was in the Epstein files, they've already, if they're going to be held accountable, they're going to be held accountable right now. And who won't be held accountable, their names are already mentioned and they're older. So like everybody who you could use the Epstein files to manipulate, it's already over. And Epstein, I don't know if you call him dead, but he's no longer a factor in the game at this moment. So what was the point of creating all that leverage for decades? And now your last ditch effort is Trump. Because after him, who's going to be president that you have in the files? Yeah. So that's it. They're all their cards are on the table. And if this situation with Iran doesn't go as they planned it to, they gotta flip the table over. Now, that's the only option, and see what happens.
Well, the other thing too is that they're now making threats towards Turkey, which I know you and I have been warning people about, that Turkey has been too soft on Israel. And I do want to show people, because it's coming in hot. This is from Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel under my leadership will continue to fight Iran's terror regime and its proxies, unlike Erdogan, who accommodates them and massacred his own Kurdish citizens.
Boy.
So here we go with the
like come at your fast, don't it, Erdogan? Because y'all was working together to overthrow Assad, and now look at him.
This is where we go once again with you are killing your own people, rhetoric, right? So Turkey responded, and well, actually, do I want to show? Yeah, Turkey Well, this is what Israeli PM, former Prime Minister Naftali
Naftali.
Bennett, this is what he said about Turkey. Everyone pay attention to this. Listen to this. This is crazy.
Let me just ask you whether there's a risk of further confrontation with Turkey based on comments that you've said in the past.
Well, we need to ensure that Erdogan doesn't create a new alliance of radical Islam Sunni version, meaning an axis between himself, Julani, Qatar, and Hamas. We've been facing for many decades the Shiite radical Islam, and I hope that Turkey doesn't choose to foment terror and Islamism in its power. It's up to Turkey ultimately. If they seek peace, we definitely want peace. But if they try and surround us with terror,
can I just say, Sab,
idle.
Y'all Sunni sellouts thought y'all were safe, then y'all. Because this, when I say this came out of nowhere, Turkey has been basically absent from international news, and they're like, yeah, man, we just hope that Turkey and Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Sunni world. So for those of you who don't know, the Sunnis are generally the Gulf states and Turkey, right? The Shiites are Iran. Iraq. Basically, the Shiites are usually the country that the United States is trying to overthrow, effectively, to simplify it. And so the Sunnis generally are the ones who produce the radical Islamic extremists on behalf of the United States. And obviously Turkey is one of those countries that's always kind of had this weird relationship with the United States as well. And so the Sunnis have generally always thought that they were safe. And look what happened. How many times have we said, you really thought that the Greater Israel Project was going to be impeded by Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Turkey and Syria? Like, y'all thought that their ambitions were going to be impeded by what? By y'all? No, y'all are still Muslim. They don't care who pays y'all. They don't care what deal you made with the United States. They don't care if you call yourself Sunni instead of Shiite. No, You're still Muslim. You're not one of us.
And let's not forget, guys, Turkey was mentioned in the Epstein files. And one of the emails that I shared on the show, they were talking about going after Turkey eventually as well. So Turkey was already on the list. And Erdogan has been basically very measured in his response to Israel. Turkey still does trade with Israel, even though, he criticized the genocide in Gaza, but they're still business partners with Israel. Now you see Israel saying they may come after you. So Turkey did respond. I want to show this press release that they sent out regarding the social media post by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu, who has been described as the Hitler of our time due to the crimes he has committed, is a well-known figure with a clear track record. An arrest warrant has been issued against Netanyahu by the ICC on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Under Netanyahu's administration, Israel is facing proceedings before the International Court of Justice on charges of genocide. Netanyahu's current objective is to undermine ongoing peace negotiations and continue his expansionist policies in the region. Failing this, he risks being tried in his own country and is likely to be sentenced for imprisonment. The fact that our president has been targeted by Israeli officials with baseless, brazen, and false allegations is a result of the discomfort caused by the truths that we have consistently voiced on every platform. Turkey will continue to stand by innocent civilians and will further its efforts to ensure that Netanyahu is held accountable for crimes he has committed. So that's
Man,
the
that
response.
sounds real Bernie Sanders of them, Sabby. Because I don't know if y'all peep game, but they keep saying Netanyahu, 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 as if the problem is Netanyahu and not Israel as a whole. Because Turkey, like Sabby mentioned, still continues to do business with this genocidal state. And by the way, that was even after they said that they were going to not do business with them. They said they were going to halt all economic relations with Israel. And yet we found out that they were still doing business with them. So, yeah, it's kind of y'all fault. This is the monster that y'all created.
So this whole thing with Trump blocking the Strait of Hormuz, like the naval blockade. Here's what Iran has said. Iran has said that if the U.S. sends those ships, more U.S. ships into the Strait of Hormuz, they will be fired upon. So again, this is just Donald Trump trying to create more escalation. This is not peace. This is escalation. And then we can go ahead and predict this, Nico. Then if they do proceed to have those ships go out to the Strait of Hormuz, then if it's fired upon, it's, oh, Iran attacked this ship for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. Like, no, you actually, they told you. First of all, you got to pay a toll, but second of all, we don't even want y'all money. So there's that, right? Like, even if you pay the toll, we still won't let you through because, you know, you're trying to kill our people. So yeah, no, people have to remember, like, this isn't some video game where you can just have unlimited respawn of naval vessels. Those naval vessels have to come from somewhere. And I can tell you right now, I'm not going to say how I know, but I do know that they're trying to like repair vessels, get a bunch of new vessels off the ground in the United States as we speak, and trying to send them over as quickly as possible because they're fully aware, like the more they can't sustain this with the amount of vessels they currently have in the water. Like I said, these weapons, these arms, these boats, they don't have unlimited supply. Eventually, you have to resupply. Eventually, those seamen or those sailors, they gotta go home. You know, at some point, right? Like, what's going to happen? The blockade is going to fail, or, well, no, it's either the blockade is going to fail, the war is going to cut into their troops, to their vessels. And you don't have anywhere to turn to as of right now. And we can probably readjust, you know, you can readdress this again in a week. But as of right now, even the Gulf states are like, hey, man, so we support y'all, you know, from a distance. We're not getting involved in this stuff.
Right.
They're not getting involved in the blockade. And they're the ones who stand the most to lose from the Strait of Hormuz being closed. And they're still like, yeah, well, we can't. What are we going to do? They've committed zero troops to this because they know it's a failed effort. So in my opinion, if this keeps going the way it's going at the moment, what do you think is going to happen with these Gulf states? They're going to keep dealing with the United States that's failed them, that has put bases in their region, only to let them be bombarded? Or do you think they'll say, hey, man, maybe Iran's not all that bad? Maybe we should reassess our situation because Dubai is having an economic crash as we speak. Their real estate market dropped by like a third in just a couple of weeks. And it looks like there's no chance of it returning to normal anytime soon. Dubai cannot survive that. So we'll see what's going to happen. But I just don't see a way out for the United States here. And it's really going to expose just how weak the empire has become.
I'm with you there, Nico. We turn to 11 demands on this as well. I want to just share this for just a second for everybody. 11 demands, just a reminder, real change starts with real demands. So Eric created this a while back, and he's been championing this. We've been talking about healthcare for all, a minimum standard of living for everyone. But one of the big ones here is in the wars, right? So we do have to have demands here as well. Nico, if Eric is free, I think he would like to come on to your show to talk about 11 demands.
Bro, Eric, let me know, man. Let me know. We can set it up. Shoot me an email or shoot me a DM actually on X.
All right, Nico. Thank you so much. Anything you got coming up that you want to share?
No, I do my live show every Wednesday at about 6:15 Eastern. You know, I do shows in between that too, but that's like my set day. Obviously, you know, we post every day on Hotspot on X at Hotspot. You can follow me on X at Real Nico House. On YouTube, just type in my name, Real Nico House. You'll see For the People podcast pop up. And you can follow me on Instagram as well at Real Nico House. But yeah, man, we're just going to be covering this Iran stuff as much as humanly possible. So much news that breaks, but we try to give a very unique breakdown of the situation and circumstances. And I don't know if y'all have, for those who have been following me, I've actually predicted almost everything about this Iran conflict since for a year now. I've actually been on point. I actually predicted the ground invasion the week before. And I said the exact day it would start. And literally that was the day the F-15 got shot down in the attempt to take over the nuclear facility in the region. I was on point because, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit easy nowadays because Trump, just imagine the worst possible, dumbest thing that could be done in the situation that Trump is in. And that's basically what he's gonna do. Yeah, it's not that hard.
That's right. Nico, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabs. Appreciate you.
All righty. Bye. All right, ladies and gents, that was Nico House. Again, you can follow him on For the People podcast on YouTube. Nico does really great work, and he's been in the space for a long time before I entered it. So definitely check him out. We still got a lot more to talk about, folks. It's been a crazy weekend. I just want to remind you tonight's theme is "Wanna Be Starting Something," right? Like the song, the Michael Jackson song. But as you guys can see, obviously, like the US doesn't want to have peace here. They want to be starting something. Like, so that's why there's this escalation that's happening right now. And it's disappointing, but I didn't really expect much to come from this peace conference here. So this is where we're at now. Let's go ahead to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. If you haven't had a chance to do so, do me a solid and smash that like button. And if you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. All right, let's give some shout out to the peoples. Shout out to Karen for becoming a Sabby member. Let's give Karen a big whoop, whoop. Thank you for the super chat, Measured Man. One of my favorite movies is The Color Purple. I have had a hell of a week with this internet. I might be black, but I might be ugly, but I'm here. Thank God I'm here, doing too much to discourage truth. Quote there from The Color Purple. For Real Love says, I think Kamala H and others are trolling you and sending and other independent media to get their talking points. You know what? We're going to get to that. That's a good point. Good point. Thank you for the super chat. Ernest says, captured Marines, ? Yeah, we're still curious about that. Thank you, Marlon. Makes no difference to Iran what Trump says because he lies too much. And he fired all of his experienced advisors because they said this won't work. Yeah. Thank you, Brad. All wars are bankers' wars. Plus, all the world's a stage. Equals, it's political theater to distract from both sides, pushing WEF agenda. Iran CB is Freemason. IYKYK. What that means there. Thank you, Snowy. Yes, after 30 minutes, both U.S. destroyers retreated. School bags of photos of Manag girls on seats in plane. Iranian delegation flew. Pakistan Air Force escorted plane. Thank you, Resurrect. They are stopping China from Iran's oil. Yeah, it's crazy. It's getting wild out here. Thank you, Brad. This is not Trump's war. It is a banker owner war. All wars are. This is the big push to you will own nothing agenda. Trump is the distraction. Good point there, Brad. Thank you, Marlon. Two leaders that don't care about the people they supposedly represent, both trying to stay out of jail through endless war and war crimes. Thanks, Sparky. Epstein Kushner 2028. That's a funny one. Thank you, Marlon. Peace means the trials start by the way. And thank you, Mimi. Trump is now trying to set up a blockade for all the countries working with Iran at the Strait. He might actually be crazy. Yeah, you want to talk about economic collapse. There you go right there. There you go. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much for your support. Really do appreciate you around here, fam. If you're interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories. We have the ultimate, the Sabinators. Don't forget about those Sabsters because they're cool as well. And we also have Sabbies. Last but not least, we have the members. Hey, you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen on the ticker throughout the show. That's who all those lovely people are. And we want to give a shout out to new Sabby patrons. We call them newbies. Let's give it up to Neil H. Patel. Thank you, Neil, and welcome. Welcome back. So you want to be starting something. Apparently so. Apparently so. Let's get into this crazy warehouse fire story. There was a warehouse that was set on fire in Ontario, California. Now, the suspect who allegedly set this fire apparently has been captured, but that's not even the big bingo card of this story. Since this fire happened, other warehouses have been set on fire across the United States. It's been one after another. We're going to get into all of those as well, but let's start with this one that happened in California, where the suspect allegedly said that he needed to be paid more. Let's get into it.
And accused of causing that massive warehouse fire in Ontario this week, now facing additional charges.
Yeah, these new charges are on a federal level. Rachel Aragon is live outside the courthouse in Rancho Cucamonga, where those charges were just announced. We actually learned a lot at this press conference, Rachel.
Yeah, we really did. In fact, we'll unpack that shortly. But now we're also learning the man accused of setting that massive fire at that warehouse in Ontario is expected to have his first court appearance. But we're hearing right now, you guys, that could be several more hours until he makes it to that courthouse. In the meantime, though, check out this picture right here. This is a brand new mugshot we just received this morning of the man suspected of arson. This is right here is 29-year-old Highland resident Kamala Abdul Kareem. Again, police confirming he's the employee of NFI Industries, which is a third-party distributor company of Kimberly-Clark. We'll take a look at the video right here. We've been showing it throughout the week. This is video now of that massive 6-alarm fire at the Kimberly-Clark Distribution Center, drawing in about 175 firefighters. Well, officials this morning announcing a new federal charge, this one arson-related as well, and court documents also saying when police searched him, they say an officer found a lighter on him. Well, the fire, according to the criminal complaint, causing about $500 million worth of damage. Well, shortly after the fire, take a look at this video right here as well. This video had been spreading on social media of what appears to be someone starting a fire inside a warehouse. Well, just about 30 minutes ago, we heard from a police and attorneys confirming today that they believe this video to be filmed by the suspect himself. Police say he also vented to witnesses over phone and text messages about his crimes, as well as his frustration with his employer and over his pay. Well, here are federal officials talking about the concerns over the suspect. They say they are tired of seeing people resort to violence to attack capitalism and other issues. And they said the suspect right here, you're about to see again, compared himself to Luigi Mangione. Again,
let's pause. So, according to, again, allegedly, they are alleging that this suspect was upset about the pay that he was receiving at his job. And that's why he allegedly set this warehouse on fire. They are also saying that he is comparing himself to Luigi Mangione, who you guys know is being accused of killing Brian Thompson, who was the CEO of United Healthcare. They even mentioned the word capitalism, which I'm quite surprised they actually mentioned that. This gives a whole new meaning to burn it all down. One of the things that we have been talking about on the show for years, I would say, is the fact that eventually it's going to get to the point where people who are at the bottom are not going to take it anymore and are going to rise up. This could possibly be the start of some type of real life revolution in the United States. And I say the start because there's others that happened after this that I'm going to show you as well. So this could have just been the beginning. Now, again, on this show, we do not support violence. We got to add that disclaimer. You guys know how YouTube is. They be tripping. But the reality is, what was the message? The message was that he wasn't being paid enough. Allegedly. Let's continue on a little bit more. We've also seen people, don't forget, guys, we covered this recently. We've seen people trying to attack data centers as well.
the man who allegedly killed the United Healthcare CEO worker. Take a listen.
In a phone call to one witness, the defendant compared himself to Luigi Mangione, the accused murderer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Look, America is founded on free enterprise and capitalism. There is an extremely disturbing trend where people are resorting to violence to communicate political messages or economic messages. I don't know if this guy saw himself as a Luigi, but he's an arsonist. He's a criminal.
But why is that happening? So the Attorney General of California isn't explaining why that might be happening. California, one of the most expensive, or probably the most expensive now, one of the most expensive states to live in the United States. California is one of the states that people are leaving. You don't see too many people trying to move to California. You see people trying to leave California and moving to states or other countries that have a lower cost of living. Now, again, I'm not here to excuse what he did, but the Attorney General there of California, like, he only gives the surface level, reasoning, but he doesn't get to the root cause of this. What is causing this to happen? And by the way, I also believe that the elites want this to happen. I believe they want people to behave and act this way so that they can crack down harsher on us, implement more penalties and laws against the people, increase surveillance and say, this is how we're going to make people behave. I think they want people to totally lose it so that they can have an excuse to implement more control. That's what I believe. But this is the working class saying that they have had enough. And after a while, there's only so much people are going to do. Yes, some people say I'm going to vote to make a difference. But people have been voting for years. People still poor. So I warned people about this years ago that if things did not improve for the people at the bottom in this country, eventually it would head in this direction.
And Jenna Roxy, as you mentioned, we learned a lot actually from this press conference. One thing we learned that allegedly he said at least 6 fires. They're still looking into it. That number they said could grow. We also asked the officials if this man had any kind of criminal history. As of right now, they said they're not aware of any kind of criminal background, but so much to unpack here. The other thing they really focused on was the social media videos that we just saw. According to the complaint, the suspect allegedly posted the video that he shot on his Instagram story. That video, again, allegedly was then pulled from by a witness from social media, and that's how they got their hands on it. We also know that the suspect was found about 2 miles away from the facility of where that fire broke out, and according to court documents, it doesn't appear he put up much of a fight, and even had mentioned one time, according to police, that he was confessing. But again, we'll break down more information about this press conference as the morning goes on.
So another thing I want to mention as well, right? Look at who the law really goes after. So yeah, they're going to go after this guy. He's easy for them to get. But you just actually saw a number of names that are on, in the Epstein files. And then there's others that are still hidden on purpose. None of these people are held accountable. This guy goes down though. This guy had no criminal record. This is a class issue. Tired of not being paid enough to get by. You can see, here's a screenshot here. Shout out to Power to the People. Again, his name is Shamel Abdul Karim. The man accused of setting a warehouse on fire after calling out his boss for not paying us enough to live was allegedly inspired by Luigi Mangione. Didn't I tell you guys it would eventually get to this point? But apparently it's not just him. All right. There's another image you can see of it here. I want to show you. This is how big this fire was.
It's just an impressive sight. There's no question about that. Massive may be the most overused word in our profession, but this is massive. The firefight, though, is just surround and drown. There's really nothing they can do at this point in time. This is a tilt-up type structure. They hope those walls don't fall once the roof is gone. Some of the integrity may be gone, and as you mentioned, what's inside could burn for some time. So it's going to be here for a while. There's no question about that. There's no wind. There's no worry that it's going to extend to any other structures on the left or homes on the right.
So you guys can see how massive that was, right? Okay. Now, again, we still say allegedly because we don't know. He has not been found guilty in a court of law. Some people are wondering if it also could be a false flag. But here are others that happened after that incident. This is all like boom, 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 one day after another. Just one day after the unpaid worker set a warehouse on fire in Ontario, California, another man tried to set the Ontario Mills Mall on fire. This is what happens to a capitalist society that allows the rich to hoard everything as the masses struggle to survive. So here's the mall image here. Same place, Ontario, California.
The Uniqlo entrance, so I literally walked by, I saw the fire. Like, I was like, oh, what? I don't think I've been to Ontario Mills for over 15 years, maybe. And now there's fires in the mall. I was over by Nordstrom. There was a fire. Now it looks like there's some kind of fire over here. Police, helicopters. I got out just in the nick of time, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Holy cow.
Yeah, there's the mall. That one obviously not as big as the warehouse, but now we're going to exit California. We're going to go to some of the other states. Again, these are just one after another, or exit Ontario. We're still in California. Here's another one. This is in Bakersfield, California. Another massive warehouse fire has broken out, this time in Bakersfield, California. Is a rebellion actually brewing in the Imperial Core? So here's another one. Again, California, right? One of the most unaffordable places to live in the United States. Now let's venture off to another state here. Now we're going to go to Ohio. Like, this is crazy, guys. I'm not making this up at all. Now there is a 5-alarm fire at a lumber pallet warehouse in Wayne County, Ohio. There are way too many fires for this to be a coincidence. The working class has had it. So now we go to Ohio. You see it? I'll slow down here so you guys can see it. Massive fire there in Ohio at the warehouse there. Everybody see what's going on? MDM said the roof is on fire. Remember that song? The roof is on fire. Yeah, when people say, you know, you want to be starting something, this is what's starting. Here's another one. Massive 4th alarm blaze in a commercial building at College Point, Queens. The FDNY battling heavy fire in a massive 1-story warehouse building at 13017 at 23rd Avenue. So this is in Queens.
Come on.
Woo! Anyone watching Live in Queens? Did you see this? Did you hear about this warehouse fire? Yeah, man. This is it's weird that it's this many back to back to back to back, right? So obviously someone is making a cry here. Now, people ask, it could be the case of false flags. It could be false flags, or it could just be people are tired of not making a living wage in this country. This really does give meaning to burn it all down. Now, I'm not telling you to burn it all down. But what I am saying is that when it gets to the point where people just can't make, and the economy continues to struggle in this country. So people aren't making gains unless you're already at the top for the most part, or somebody at the top is helping you. People are struggling economically. And so people say you want to be starting something, and this leads to here. And this is why I said that if the politicians that we have in Congress right now, if they don't actually start to pass legislation that is going to benefit the working class in this country, eventually you're going to get to the point where there's just complete unrest. I want you to pay attention to some of the movies that Hollywood has been producing over the years. There's a reason why there's movies called The Purge. There's a reason why Hollywood has been sending this message to show you, oh, what would happen if everything just shut down for a day and people just can do whatever they want to do and just purge of. They are letting you know what is coming. They've been doing this. And the government knows. They're all aware that a collapse is inevitable, at least for this country. And that is because our government did not put money into the people, did not put money into the infrastructure. That's why our bridges fall apart. That's why we don't have high-speed rail in the United States, even after all these years. That could have been done. They put all their money into wars, and that's how we get here. So we'll have to wait and see what else happens with that suspect in California. I don't know if more of these are going to happen, but we'll have to pay attention because I'm going to be watching this because, again, I got to tell you guys, like, I'm a millennial and I've seen some bleak times in my adult life, especially after the 2008 housing crisis. Like, for my generation, I just don't remember things really getting better economically. And we have been warning people that if it continues down this road, this is what is going to happen. People are just going to lose it and say, fuck it. But then we also have to remember that there is a segment of society that wants that to happen. They want that to happen because they want control. Think about that. Let's go to that Rumble rant there. Eric, thank you. All right. Thank you, JT. These fires will not definitely push even more employers to fully automate their workforce, while the narrative of disgruntled employees over corporate greed will influence more copycat fires. That's another good point right there, too, right? The whole aspect of AI and how AI is just going to be replacing more of these jobs. Let's go to some of the comments here, ladies and gents. Thank you for the super chat, Measured Man. One of my favorite movies is, I saw that one. Sorry about that. Thank you, Kenman. Luigi on the Loose. Thank you, Marlon. Was it a Bic? You talking about the lighter? Oh, Marlon. Thank you, Jamie. Please get Richard Medhurst on, see his new documentary. I will try. I can try to get Richard Medhurst on. Thank you, Kyle. Oh, I miss Nico. Happy Sunday, Sabby. You look great. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kenman. Why isn't Mario contributing at all? And thank you, Marlon. The people doing their own chemtrails now. Yeah, so I say, want to be starting something. All right, ladies and gents, let's move on to the next story here. All righty. Smash the like if you haven't had a chance to do so. Thank you. And let's keep it moving and grooving. Something is happening with the Democratic Party. And I just want to make sure you don't fall for this. Okay. All right. Talking about wanting to be starting something, right? The Democratic Party has pretty much picked up on the fact that the pro-Israel lobby is not favorable, but they're not willing to walk away from it. And they picked up on the fact that some voters want something for their vote, that they are demanding something for their vote. And just recently, you guys are going to get a kick out of this one. Just recently, Kamala Harris was one of those people. Let me show you what Kamala Harris just said. This is at the National Action Network event. Listen to what she just said about the voters. Listen to this.
People are so transactional. I think we need to be transactional voters. I think, yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote. And it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase it. We remind people of the lives, the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter, the assassination of Dr. King, there are so many things that we must remember about history so that what compels us to vote includes not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes, and here's what I'm suggesting in addition. Get yours. Vote and say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, oh, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Hold the phone. Because here's the thing, folks. I seem to remember a number of people making demands for their vote in 2024. Yes? I seem to remember pro-Palestinian protesters demanding a ceasefire and an arms embargo. I seem to remember Black voters, some Black voters, not all of them, some Black voters demanding reparations, a Black agenda. All this to Kamala Harris, yes? So I seem to remember people making demands in 2024. And you know what we were told? Be quiet. Sit down. Shut up. Shut up. You want Trump? Just vote for her. What did Kamala say to the kids that were out in the audience at the Michigan rally? She said that she was speaking. She said, I'm speaking. So now it's okay to demand something for your vote. I was just talking to you guys about this Thursday night when I was live about what Roland Martin was saying about people making demands for their vote, etc. Right? We're just talking about this. Now, Kamala Harris is saying that you should demand something for your vote, that voting should be transactional. What we have been saying for years. Now, let's talk about the pros and the cons. Here's a pro about this, about her saying this, is that the people who simp for Kamala and will never admit that she has any faults at all, those who just want to carry water for the party 100%, maybe now, because she's the one that's saying it, maybe they'll support it. See how that works? Here's the con about that. It's too late. Because we were screaming at the top of the rooftops in 2024, we were screaming demands. And we were told, how dare we ask for something? How dare we? And yeah, there were Black voters that had demands, but it wasn't just Black voters with demands. There were Latino voters who made demands to Donald Trump. So what? I'm trying to remain calm here as I discuss this, but I'm actually burning inside. If you could see what my insides look like right now, they are on fire. You would probably see steam coming from my head. Because the problem that I have is that when people, in particular voters, they only want to take something at face value, or they only want to get on board with something when a politician tells them to do it.
I'm saying it's okay to also give people permission to be transactional. And to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect. I'm going to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
And then she said that word permission. You guys, you don't need permission. You don't need permission from me or her or anybody. You're an adult. If you can vote, you're legally an adult. You don't need permission from anybody. And it's interesting because I remember what she said before when she was asked about doing something specifically for Black voters. Remember?
Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
Yeah. Those were her words, not mine, right? So either Kamala Harris has been paying attention to independent media, or she's trying to help the Democratic Party in some way, shape, or form. Maybe she saw the light. I don't know. But it is very apparent, and I'm going to show you the numbers as well. It is very apparent that the Democratic Party is trying to, in many ways, find a way to grow their base, but also to increase their approval rating. Because even though Donald Trump is terrible, the Democratic Party's approval rating is not good. One would think, with as many things that I talk about on this show that Donald Trump has done throughout his administration, and we're only in we're only 2026, right? So it's not even like the last year of his term. As much as we talk about on this show, and we talk about both sides, but as much as I've told you what Donald Trump is doing and has done, one would think that the Democratic Party would be doing very well right now, but they're not. And so they're in a crisis. They're trying to figure out, what do we do? What do we do? And we'll show you what is not working out well. You see, even Alyssa Slotkin, who's former CIA, she's going to use a CIA tactic when she answers this guy's question here. Pay close attention to this. This was at a town hall in Ohio. And someone is going to bring up the issue here of AIPAC. Even when it comes to this, they still don't want to walk away from the pro-Israel lobby. And she's one of them. She get money from them too. They don't want to walk away from it. So listen to the nonsense that she gives here.
Okay. A good Xavier student is prepared.
So, sorry. Basically, going back to what was said over here, you have not taken money from AIPAC, but pro-Israel lobbies and their donors have spent $4.5 million on your campaigns. But I do have a question unrelated to that. I just wanted to add that. So I'm curious why left-leaning media, well, I guess mainstream media and establishment Democrats are spending energy attacking influencers like Hassan Piker, as has been in the news lately, and why the Democratic establishment is just like immune to criticizing Democratic leadership like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, who are some of the main drivers in the reason that the Democratic Party is at its lowest approval rating in history.
Well, a couple of things. First, just to correct the record, I'm not sure what you're referring to on not AIPAC, but the Israel lobby. If you're equating Israel lobby to Jews, I got a problem with that.
CIA talking point. Do you see what she's doing? He's asking about the money that is coming in from the pro-Israel lobby. So what she is going to do, she's using this tactic where she is going to deflect. So let's now say that you're actually trying to call out Jewish people, which is not what that person was trying to do. He's calling out a lobby interest group, which primary focus is Israel first above everything else. So she has to pivot. She has to make it seem as though he's trying to be anti-Semitic, because she doesn't want to stand up there and account for all the money that she took from the pro-Israel lobby.
And that just like you wouldn't say, the Iranian, Iranians, whatever happens, the Iranian government does is what Iranian Americans believe. I think it's really important, especially now, to make a distinction between the Israeli government and the choices that they're making and the average Jew, okay? And Jewish people who donate to campaigns. So I feel very strongly about that.
Horrible answer there. And people are actually clapping. They don't know any better. Horrible answer there. Here's the thing. We do not have a pro-Iran PAC in the United States that operates on the interest for Iran above everything else. We have PACs here in the United States that operate on the behalf and the benefit and the interest of Israel above everything else. And they have bought a lot of the politicians, including CIA hack Alyssa Slotkin. It's not the same. But the Democratic Party has this problem, right? So then they pivot and tell you, let's just talk about the government. Let's just talk about the Israeli government. But it's not just the Israeli government. Netanyahu wasn't always in power, but this ideology still existed. This supremacy still existed. That wasn't created by Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's talk facts today. So Kamala Harris wants to tell you that voting should be transactional. But then you got Alyssa Slotkin over here in Ohio telling people, oh, well, you know, don't criticize. It's wild the way that things have turned out. You'll go on to see here as well. This was India Walton, and she was at this DNC event in New Orleans. She stood up and said something about the genocide. India Walton, for those who are not aware, she ran for office as a Democrat through the Democratic Party, but she's a socialist. And she was actually winning. She got endorsed by AOC and Chuck Schumer. This is years ago. She was actually winning. And then lo and behold, the guy that she was running against won by write-in votes. This is right here in Buffalo, New York. So she came to this event and watch what they do to her.
Listen to Democrats. Why are you afraid of AIPAC? Be afraid of the voters. Tell us what happened in 2024. Why are you dropping bombs on babies? Let us know. Let us know. We deserve to know. I'm a Democrat. This is my party too. This is my party too. This is my party too.
Congressman Joy Carter.
So that was India Walton being escorted out, and she was saying that it's her party too, right? So you see, they want to have it both ways. They want to have a big tent party, but then they don't want people like India Walton to express what she feels. That's the problem. Now it goes on more here. I want to show you a little bit more. All these shills.
The U.S. military kills kids! Kill kids! You're all the fucking same!
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Easy soul, where culture shapes the world, and where the spirit of resilience runs deeper than the mighty Mississippi.
It's wild.
So let me begin. I say you all get out of here. He's organized. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome home.
See all of this? See all these people just sitting here like nothing is going on? This is the problem with partisan politics. Like people have become fucking brainwashed. Anything for the party. Anything for the party. But they have this problem and they don't want to deal with it, especially considering that DNC autopsy report showed that this is the issue that cost Kamala Harris the election. And so even the lobbies are starting to get smart. Let me show you what they're doing now. This is J Street, right? Peep this, fam. J Street is backing Bernie Sanders' resolution to block the transfer of 1,000-pound bombs and Caterpillar D9 bulldozers to Israeli government. It is not a first for them. They support a similar effort in November 2024, but still notable and will allow more senators to hop on. So let me show you how not to fall for this scam, right? J Street, and we'll go back to mine. Yes. Is it good for them to say we want to block these weapons to Israel? Yeah. It's good to say that. But Israel can still buy the weapons. This is what I was telling you guys before. All these politicians that come forward and say, oh, we want to do this and stop Israel. We don't think we should send weapons or money to Israel because that's taxpayer money and they can afford to do it on their own. Notice that talking point. Israel can still buy weapons from the United States. But in particular, when you look at J Street, this is what I said on X. These pro-Israel lobbies are doing a song and dance. They block some weapons to Israel while still prioritizing a genocidal state. They know they're unpopular, so they are co-opting a movement and watering down the demands to trick people into accepting them. Guys, you cannot fall for the okie doke. That is what is happening here. So they know the Gaza issue caused Kamala Harris the election. They know AIPAC, out of all of them, is not popular. But J Street, J Street's like a lighter version of AIPAC. They're still pro-Israel. In fact, let me show you. Check this out. J Street says they are pro-Israel and pro-peace. This is from their website, and I just want to show you the contradiction. J Street PAC, championing equality, justice, diplomacy, and peace. Pro-Israel, pro-peace, pro-democracy leaders. Now, here's the problem with this statement. First of all, they are championing equality and justice, right? Israel is an apartheid state. So how are you championing equality if you're pro-Israel? Apartheid is not equal. They say that they're championing justice, but there's no justice for the Palestinians. There's no justice for the Palestinians who are encaged, basically, in an open-air prison, that are starved from time to time whenever Israel feels like doing it, that have the lights, electricity turned off whenever they want. They turn off the water. They control these people. There's no justice for them. There's no justice for the people who lose their homes in the West Bank because these settlers go and attack them and burn their crops, steal their goats. That's justice, but they're pro-Israel. Even if you look at the other part here, diplomacy. What diplomacy? Israel doesn't even have a constitution. Does everybody see the problem? Pro-Israel, pro-peace, pro-democracy leaders. There is no peace with Israel. But if you look at J Street's website, it tells you their number one priority is Israel. So there's something happening online I noticed as well. A number of people, the moment that J Street, this got out that they were going to do this, people were like, oh, this is good. This is really good. So we can support candidates that are endorsed by J Street again now. And just like that, I thought to myself, boom, they got you reeled right back in. Just like that. Because you can't be pro-Israel and pro-peace. Because Israel is not peaceful. So they're trying to do little things to make you think that, hey, we have changed and you can be okay with us now. I literally saw people that have been advocating for Gaza for years, all of a sudden on social media be like, oh, okay, I guess J Street isn't that bad. What? Look at their website. None of these PACs should exist inside the United States anyway. This is the US. This is not Israel. So you have to make sure you're not falling for the okie doke. But here's why they're doing it. Look at the new numbers. This is the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party.
Congressional Dems have the right priorities. Look at this. Overall, 74%, nearly 3 in 4 say no. Just 25% overall say yes. You might say, okay, well, at least Dems like Democrats. Not the case. Look at this. The majority of Democrats are independents who lean Democrats. Look at this. 55% say no, congressional Democrats do not have the right priorities.
This was pulled from TYT, but look at that. And see, you would think that because Trump is doing so bad that the Democrats would have a better approval rating, but they don't. And even some of my friends that, are, still kind of liberal. I've been working on them. I'm trying to get them, to wake up to some things. But even some of my friends have said that they are completely and utterly disappointed with the fact that the Democratic Party, the Congress in particular, is not fighting the way that they should. They see these numbers too. And so now it's okay for Kamala to say that you can be a transactional voter. That's cool. We told you that years ago. Some of you told yourself that you don't need permission from a politician to do that. One. Now you see Alyssa Slotkin kind of ease into this. Well, let's just criticize the government and not the da-da-da. And now you see J Street say, oh, well, we're going to back this bill, but we're still pro-Israel. So we cannot be deceived. They're giving this impression like they want to be starting something. Yeah, we're turning into like a tea party and we're fighting back, but they're not fighting back. You look at the leadership and see that for yourself. What they are doing, though, is that they're trying to get votes. And they do know this is the midterms, and they're probably going to win back the House in the midterm. To be honest, it's looking that way. They'll probably get that. But come 2028, they're trying to get back those voters that they lost in 2024 due to the genocide. And they're also trying to get back the Black voters that they lost in 2024 that voted for Donald Trump or stayed home. That's what this is about. Because here's the thing. You don't need to have someone else tell you that it's okay to demand something for your vote. I don't care what political party or what group you're a part of. No one needs to tell you that. That is for you to decide. So be careful. Don't fall for the okie doke. All right, ladies and gents. Eric, can we go to part 3 for Type VNC? We'll get to this next story. This one is a doozy. Aye. All right, ladies and gents. Ow, I hit my elbow. Ladies and gents, we're going to get into this story, and you guys are going to have to tell me what you think about this one, because this one does not look good. Doesn't look good. Gubernatorial candidate Eric Swalwell, who was also a member of Congress. I think he still is a member of Congress. So he is being accused of sexual assault. This is a very recent, this came out over the weekend. And from what I understand, by multiple women. One of them in particular worked for him. And this is a big story that we need to talk about. Based on what I've seen right now with the Democrat politicians that are running for governor in California, is pretty toast, right? It's just not looking favorable for any of them. Tom Steyer is a billionaire. If I remember correctly, I believe he made money off of supporting the private prisons. I mean, is that you do have Butch Ware that you can still vote for. He's not running in either one of these parties. But let's get into this story that happened here with Eric Swalwell. Guys, this is not good.
Serve the public. As a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims. That's who I am and have always been.
For more on this, I'm joined by MS Now congressional reporter Michael Schnell. So, Michael, welcome, especially on a very busy Saturday here. You spoke with that former staffer at the center of the allegations. What did you learn?
Yeah, Alex, I did, as you mentioned, speak to this former staffer who alleged to the San Francisco Chronicle and to CNN that she was sexually assaulted by Congressman Eric Swalwell both in 2019 and in 2024. I have also reviewed text messages and medical records that relate to those allegations, medical records with the practitioner writing that you are a strong survivor, stay strong, and text messages that was sent in the month of April 2024. That was the month where she accused Eric Swalwell of the sexual assault, telling a friend about what she says had transpired. So this is certainly all falling out. Just since it was first reported yesterday by the San Francisco Chronicle and by CNN, a big story here. We're already seeing the ramifications and the impact of these allegations. It's worth noting, as you just played before, Eric Swalwell is denying these allegations. I can also confirm that his counsel sent a cease and desist letter to the woman who made the allegations against him. So certainly still a very live story. But the news at the core of it is that there's these allegations against Eric Swalwell.
Let me just pause here for a second because I think did I go back to the top of this one? We'll go back to the top of this one so we can see it as well. So this one, again, innocent until proven guilty, but the San Francisco Chronicle, I believe, are the ones that broke this story originally. And if you read through it, this one looks very credible. What she is saying is that apparently she was drunk and he took advantage of her, allegedly. And from what I understand, she worked with him. Yes, people are asking. Eric Swalwell is married. He's also a father. I'm going to get into his full statement as well. But I'm telling you guys, this one does not look good.
Against Congressman and California gubernatorial candidate Eric Swalwell. MS Now has spoken to the former staffer who says she was sexually assaulted on 2 separate occasions by him. We have also viewed text messages and medical records regarding those allegations. The accusations were first reported and corroborated by the San Francisco Chronicle and later CNN. CNN also cited 3 other women who allege other kinds of sexual misconduct by Swalwell. Swalwell addressed the allegations in a social media video. Take a look.
So, and this is another good point here, twice. She said it happened twice. And there were other women that said that they were, I guess, not sexually assaulted, but harassed by him. And I don't know. Again, he is innocent until proven guilty. All I'm saying is this looks it's damning. Let's go back to this part here.
Transpired. So this is certainly all falling out. Just since it was first reported yesterday by the San Francisco Chronicle and by CNN, a big story here. We're already seeing the ramifications and the impact of these allegations. It's worth noting, as you just played before, Eric Swalwell is denying these allegations. I can also confirm that his counsel sent a cease and desist letter to the woman who made the allegations against him. So certainly still a very live story. But the news at the core of it is that there's these allegations against Eric Swalwell.
2 more questions. One being, we've gotten word that the Manhattan DA is calling for an investigation and intends to do one. Is that relative to the April 2024 allegation of rape, sexual assault? Did that happen in New York? Do we know where it took place? Because we're wondering, why would the Manhattan DA become involved?
We don't have any indication of whether it was the 2019 incident or the 2024 incident that the Manhattan DA is looking into. They just simply said that they have an investigation into this and urged anyone who may have information to send along information. But again, this woman who is central to these allegations, she alleges something happened both in 2019 and in 2024. That's all we have at this moment. But to get back to the fallout and reaction, it's this Manhattan DA investigation, but it's also the political impacts, right? Yeah. Eric Swalwell is the front runner for the California governor's race, and he has been shedding his endorsements since very shortly after the San Francisco Chronicle first reported on these allegations yesterday, including key allies up on Capitol Hill, key allies back in California. In fact, the top 3 Democratic leaders in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, Catherine Clark, and Pete Aguilar, called on him to step out of the race. As you showed, the latest we have from Eric Swalwell is that video where he says he's going to spend the weekend with his family and loved ones. He may have an update later. No indication of how he plans to handle this in terms of both his gubernatorial race, but also his seat in Congress.
So, big issue here for him, not just the political implications, but obviously, like, this is really so. 3 women accuse him of sexual misconduct. One of them accuses him of sexual assault twice, 2019 and 2024. Now, let's get into his full statement that he made, and I'm going to tell you what I think about all of this. Let me show you this one here. This is directly from him. This is his account. Hear it directly from me. These allegations are flat false, and I will fight them. So listen to what he said.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations, and I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the frontrunner candidate for governor in California. I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife. And to her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position.
This is the part that gave me pause, because why do you need to apologize to your wife if it's so? He said he's made mistakes in the past. He said that's between him and his wife. Okay, so if I were to make a guess, infidelity. Maybe he's saying there was infidelity, but he's saying that it was consensual and that was between him and his wife, which would be the case. It's between him and his wife. But what really makes me pause here is the fact that, again, if you didn't do anything wrong, why are you apologizing to your wife? So that leads me to think that something did happen, but maybe he is saying that it was infidelity, but it was consensual according to him. Now, here's the problem. If it was infidelity, if that's what he's saying that this was, and it wasn't sexual assault, if Eric Swalwell wasn't allegedly cheating on his wife, he wouldn't be in this situation. If that's the case. So that's something to think about, right? So yeah, if him and his wife had infidelity, that's between the two of them. But if he wasn't allegedly cheating on his wife, then he would not be in this situation. What is also very damning about this is the fact that, again, there's medical reports, which means that the accuser, she went to the hospital. That means that there was an examination. Most victims of sexual assault don't make it that far. Most of them don't go to the hospital. Most of them don't report it, but they have medical records. That's why I told you, I said, when you read, and it's paywalled, unfortunately, but if you can read the San Francisco article, it does not look good for him because of all the other things that were done. So when people say someone was assaulted, why didn't they do this? Why did they report it? Why didn't they go to the hospital? Why didn't they? She went to the doctor. And then you also have to understand that most people don't report it. Most people don't. And usually a lot of it has to do with, what has happened. It's traumatic, but also how often are these people actually held accountable for doing what they did? So that was the part. I don't know who wrote this statement for him, but when he said he apologized to his wife, I'm like, why are you apologizing to your wife if you didn't do anything wrong?
I also apologize to you if in any way you have doubted your support for me. But I think you know who I am. For over 20 years, I have served the public as a city councilman, as a member of Congress, and as a prosecutor who went to court on behalf of victims, particularly on behalf of sexual assault victims.
Yeah, you did.
That's who I am and have always been. This weekend, I'm going to spend time with my family and friends. And I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support. And I look forward to updating you very soon.
So that's his statement there. Yeah, he was one of the people that spoke out. In fact, I'm going to show you one of this. This is the other thing that people are showing on social media. He was one of the people that did speak out about Brett Kavanaugh being accused of sexual assault. Does everybody remember this back in 2018? Listen to this.
Rooms where it's very easy to isolate one incident and, shine inaccuracies or inconsistencies on that case. But the more and more cases that are separate and independent that look the same, pretty soon a prosecutor starts to say to a jury, and this is not a jury, but it's allegations that the arrows are pointing in the same direction. And what are the chances that 3 or 4 women independently who never met each other would have similar experiences with one person? So either, Ari, this person committed these horrific acts, or he is the single unluckiest person in the world for these people to conspire and make up lies against him. But it's a very hard case to make, the more allegations that come in.
So now this applies to him as well, because now, like Brett Kavanaugh, he has multiple people, multiple victims that have come out against him. So now he's in that same situation. And I wanted you to hear that because of what he said there. He said it's very unlikely that all of them, the unfortunate thing about this is, and again, we don't know, innocent until proven guilty, but the unfortunate thing about this is that I saw people making this partisan and it shouldn't have been in the first damn place. Like, people were literally on X, like, want to be starting something. People were on there like they were ready with the boxing gloves to defend someone that they didn't even know. And it was just, and then on the other side, it's like you had conservatives that were just like, oh, he did it. He did it. It's always the Democrats, but don't want to hold Trump and his buddies accountable with the Epstein files. And it was just wild to me how people were just willing to jump and take side because he's a part of their party, and people were willing to jump and condemn because he's not a part of their party. One woman on X, I think she said it very well. She said, y'all are absolutely pathetic. The thing about Democrats I hate more than anything is that you troll people as if you're the moral progressive ones, but you're just stands. You don't have any integrity. You don't care about people, women, minorities, even policy. You just want to win. And if I remember correctly, I believe G here, I believe she pretty much for the most part supports the Democratic Party from what I've seen on X. But she was responding to woke former senator here who said, pretty crazy to see the entire Democratic Party immediately kick Eric Swalwell to the curb over allegations that he has denied and no proof being presented yet. This is why we lose. Republicans circled the wagons around Trump 5 minutes after the Access Hollywood tape dropped. So it's just another one where I'm like, yeah, she does measure me. I thought she does. Yeah. So it's just, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why are we making sexual assault partisan? I think we have to have some deep discussions as a society. All right, ladies and gents, we're going to get to the last story here. One that's going to make you laugh a little bit. It's Sunday fun day, so we got to laugh a little bit. Again, the theme is want to be starting something. If you haven't had a chance to do so, smash the like button, ladies and gents. And we're going to keep it moving and grooving. So Donald Trump did publicly attack Candace Owens, Alex Jones, and Tucker Carlson. And all 3 of them have responded to Donald Trump. And I would say, to me, it seems like they cooked Donald Trump's ass. Let's get started with this one here from Candace first, who knows Donald Trump, I would say, pretty well. Pretty well. Trump is not going to like this, though. Let's get into it.
Why are you so obsessed calling me from the White House? Stop talking about Brigitte. Is it a physical attraction truly that you had there? Back when he was better looking, I suppose? Did you sleep with him when he was a man? Do you think people care? To your point about I hope she wins money since it's all you see, gold, shekels. Do you think your base cares when the subject matter is children that are being statutorily raped by their supervisors? Do you understand that no one in MAGA, in true MAGA, cares about money above truth and protecting children? Did you connect that dot when we revolted against you saying, what about the Epstein files? That seems to be a theme with you. Protecting people who harm children. Why do you keep doing that? Why do you want people to be sued for standing up to that class? We continue. Let's go back to your message conclusively, right? Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune as he should have. It's all about money for you, Trump, isn't it? For his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming that it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers, and they always will be. Now, fake news CNN, who you literally, you just cited as saying you had 100% support. So are they fake or are they real, Trump? Now, the fake news CNN, the failing New York Times, and all of the other radical left news organizations are hailing them and giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They are not MAGA, they are losers. Just trying to latch onto MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want. But when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on world and country affairs. And after a few times, they go nasty, just like Marjorie Trader Brown. But I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about doing what's right for our country. MAGA is about winning and strength in not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA is about making America great again. And these people have no idea how to do that. But I do, because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene the traitor, according to Donald Trump, but everybody else he named there is low IQ? Anybody ever figure that out? Why he only calls her a traitor?
President Donald J. Trump. Was that written by Mark Levin? Like when he was 6? Or who put this message together? The hottest country in the world because we're bombing kids for no reason? Because we just killed 150 schoolgirls for no reason? Because you guys just lied about 6 of our servicemen who died? And they had to leak that to CBS News, that you were lying about what was happening. Is that what makes us hot? Is Hot Girl Summer being led by Brigitte Macron and people who attack people, other journalists for telling the truth? What's going on? Who put this message together for you and hit send? You're citing CNN, but you're also dissing CNN for having produced certain polls. I don't know. You just told us that we couldn't get on CNN, but now you're saying that we have good coverage on CNN. You're all over the place.
Yeah, right after Larry Ellison purchased. See, Larry Ellison is controlling that now. So now he's okay with CNN. Basically, Donald Trump just despises any media that calls out his bullshit. Basically.
It seems like you can't put together a coherent thought. Let me tell you something, and this is just reality, okay? Going back to just the rules of the jungle. Okay, let all the politicians and advisors around you evaporate for just a moment. Just you and me, ready? People will not fight beside, behind, or for someone who is fundamentally disloyal. Okay? If disloyalty and deceit is in your nature, then I highly suggest that you combine it with silence. You can be what you are, but I would advise you do it quietly, Trump. Because MAGA is no longer commanded by you, and you know it. You know it. You belong to the Epstein class. That is your legacy now.
You know what? I mean, look, many of us have said this about Trump for quite some time, but the reality is the writing is on the wall and it has been seen. And what I think is happening here is I think that Candace Tucker and Alex Jones, out of all of them, Candace called out Trump first. And before it was more acceptable for those who supported him to do so, she called him out first. Not too long after he began this second term. I remember that because we covered it on the show and I was shocked that she called him out. And I'll say this. I think there seems to be this effort to push JD Vance in that spot, to get him in there forward, because Trump's just a complete disaster. Get him in there and maybe things will be different, but JD Vance isn't going to be any more different. JD Vance is more professional than Donald Trump. He's not as crass, but JD Vance support the same warmongering agenda as Donald Trump does. He's just more professional about it. And he's a puppet of Peter Thiel. So JD Vance is, I think people feel like he would be better than Trump, but JD Vance is going to support that same surveillance state warmongering agenda as Donald Trump. Right? But Candace basically just told him that he needs to be quiet. Donald Trump just needs to be quiet. Have you ever had one of those friends where you're like, just take the phone away from them? Come on. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know, you have that one friend or that one family member that you just have to say, somebody, please take the phone away from them just for a couple of hours. Tell them to get off of social media just for a couple of hours. That's Donald Trump. That's Donald Trump right now.
People will see your name on buildings, whatever was agreed upon in those boardrooms, Jared Kushner, Trump, Gaza, hotel, whatever you tweeted, so crass. They will see that. You will earn that. And then when they see it, they will think about how many children had to die or be raped by men on islands so that you could stick the Trump name upon a building. And for clarity, Mr. President, that's not my fault. That's not Megyn Kelly's fault. That's not Tucker Carlson's fault. You made that trade. You chose money above respect. And what an absolute shame that you chose to do that toward the end of your life. Okay? Because you can't take money and things and stuff with you when you go, just your soul. And you sold yours for what? Another gilded ballroom? Let me be perfectly clear when I say this. Charlie Kirk, he died free. You will most certainly die a slave. Okay? You are in chains right now, and the entire world can see that perfectly. At best, what you can hope for in this moment is that maybe one day upon the college campuses that you so deeply cherish, they'll teach all about your now tarnished legacy as the perfect modern day example of Plato's allegory of the cave. You're familiar with that one? The prisoner chained in a cave. Multiple prisoners chained in a cave with a fire burning behind them, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality. And when one of those prisoners escapes and makes it outside of the cave and into true daylight and sees, oh, wait, that's not reality, and they return and they try to tell the other prisoners, no, there's truth and there's actual reality outside. They fight that person. They don't believe it. They call that person crazy. That's you. You are chained inside of a cave right now. And who's making those shadows on the wall, right? At best, the annals of history, I think within them, you will be relegated to a philosophical discussion. The madness of President Trump. People will ask, who made Mr. Trump believe the shadows on the wall were real? The professor will chide the class. And in essays, students will cite the example of the man who was once considered a leader of a movement, suddenly reduced to sitting on the side in the Situation Room at the White House while the leader of a foreign country, Benjamin Netanyahu, stands above him, convincing him that Iran represents an imminent threat which can be crippled within weeks. Yeah, the students in that class will be mystified. It will be such a compelling examination. Good discussion.
Now, for me, I don't believe, like some, that Donald Trump is being controlled. I don't. I believe that Donald Trump knew what he was getting into when he took that money from Miriam Adelson. Donald Trump knows what Israel is and what Israel has been doing. I think Donald Trump knew exactly what was happening to the Palestinian people. I think he knows about Iran as well. I just don't believe that Donald Trump is being controlled. So I don't buy that narrative that many are selling. You got to remember Donald Trump, before he was a politician, he was a businessman. Donald Trump has traveled all around the world, well before he was president. Don't forget, in 2016, he was the one that decided to move the embassy. So Trump, he knew and knows what's going on. But I do believe that there is some blackmail afoot. I do believe that Israel has something on Trump. I do believe that. I do believe that there is a reason why we only saw 3% of those Epstein files. So I do believe that blackmail could be at play here. But Donald Trump, like many of our other politicians, they know exactly what Israel is. They know what Israel has been doing, and they've known for years. What they say to us has been a game. Let's continue on a little bit more here, then we'll get to the other two.
Bibi is your master. Maybe it's Miriam Adelson that lights the fire and Bibi that makes the shadows on the wall. But the entire world recognizes that now. And though I highly doubt that you will be permitted any opportunity to see what the crowd now thinks of you, I have to do my best to try. So here you are. Take a listen.
I don't know who's whispering to this guy's ear, like freaking Grima Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, but they're telling you wrong stuff, bro. Half of the people that I grew up with in this movement are not on Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin's team, okay? We aren't neocons. We aren't war hawks. We want America first. And if you make me choose between America first and MAGA, it's America first all day. That's what MAGA was supposed to be. You were just the best vessel for it, bro. Don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted. So Candace kind of cooked Donald Trump there in a slow, sudden death type of mode. Tucker Carlson is a little bit more, I think, animated on his. I want you to see, he just talked to the BBC about this, and I want you to see what he said about Donald Trump, and then we'll get to the Alex. We'll save the Alex Jones one for last.
Right back on that. And you have been, until now, really, a huge supporter of his. You wanted him elected, obviously,
Yes.
for a second term. Have you completely fallen out with him over this war, then?
Well, I haven't fallen out with him. I mean, I've known him for decades. I've always liked him. And I think anyone who spent time with him likes him. I feel sorry for him, as I do for all slaves. He is not free in this moment at all to do what he thinks is best for himself or his country.
What do you mean?
No, he's not free. And we learned that yesterday when Donald Trump announced a ceasefire, clearly with relief, and made its terms, or most of its terms, public. And then that ceasefire ended within 2 hours because Israel intentionally violated the terms by attacking not just southern Lebanon, but the city of Beirut.
So
and
are you
murdering
saying he's a slave
civilians.
to Benjamin Netanyahu?
So I don't think it's as simple as he's under the control of Netanyahu. But, you could summarize it that way and you wouldn't be totally inaccurate. And again, we know this because the single biggest mistake Trump or any American president in my lifetime has made was going to war with Iran in an effort to change its regime. It didn't work. It was obviously a mistake immediately. Trump understood it was a mistake immediately. And he tried to get out of it this week and announced we were getting out of it. And the Israelis prevented us from getting out of it. So that's the
funny part, is like he said it so nonchalantly. It was like, I feel sorry for him because he's just like I do for all slaves.
That's the clearest possible example.
Right.
They didn't allow it, therefore they're in charge.
You will know that people, including the Vice President J.D. Vance, say things like, look, ceasefires are always messy to start with. Give it a few days, it'll settle down. Let me move on, because I want to ask you about the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer.
And then they get into the British Prime Minister, right? So, I guess Donald Trump's statement has led them to respond in this type of mode. Like, okay, you want to be starting something. Let me say exactly what I really think about you. But I think the one from Alex Jones is probably the crazy. This is from the Tennessee Holler. Alex Jones to Trump. This one's funny.
I'm just going to scorch earth Trump to get him back on track. Only way to do it is to go after him viciously. You've already shed all over me. And if you try to rub it in, I just at that point, I don't care anymore. So if you think I've been coming after you, if you think that I'm trying to get clicks by attacking you so the Democrats that don't buy anything from me and don't like me want to put me in jail, if you think I've been on your ass, say one more thing out of your mouth. And Laura Loomer, send him this, okay? One more thing. When I've gone through hell back in your ass because you were the lesser of two evils, then I'm going to show you how to cow eat the cabbage. Do one more thing. You should be kissing my ass. But instead, you shit all over me and rub it in. I'm not looking for a fight, but if you want one, you came to the right place. I'm just going to scorch earth Trump.
So for it's like, you know, when people say that, when they do the say one more thing, do one more thing, that's when you know you fucked up. But they did find comedy in this. So Alex Jones did this little skit here with this guy named JP Sears. And it's called Low IQ Alex Jones. Guys, this is really funny. We're not going to play the whole thing, but check this out.
Do you do IQ test here?
Yep, that's what we do.
Okay, because I think I need one.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Why do you need one?
Well, I've had some people lately telling me I have a low IQ.
Ooh, shots fired. God. Gosh, who's been telling you that?
Well, some people online have been telling me that, like the president, and even my dogs are looking at me a little bit condescendingly now.
Well, we'll find out. So with this IQ test, I'll just ask you a series of simple, really common sense questions, and you just give me your best answer.
I'm actually kind of a little bit nervous right now.
Oh yeah, you should be, because if you turn out to be what some would call a low IQ nut job, then you're pretty much a lost cause.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
All right, first question. Which word doesn't belong? Apple, banana, carrot, orange.
Is it carrot?
Very good, because it's not a fruit and all. It's clever. Next question. Who would be considered more of a traitor to their country? Person A, who receives $230 million from a foreign lobby, or person B, who receives $0 from a foreign lobby?
I mean, clearly person A.
Wrong.
Come on, that's got to be correct.
Next, hypothetical question. If a country has a major shipping waterway that you want to have open, and it's currently open, but they'll close it if you go to war, what would be a smart way to ensure that waterway stays open?
You don't go to war with them.
No, not even close. I mean, common sense would say go to war with that country and stay at war with that country as a way of putting pressure on them to reopen it after they've closed it because you went to war with them.
Are you playing with a full deck?
I don't play cards, but thanks for asking. Oh, and this is a good one. If you had the desire to take down an international pedophile ring, what would be the best way to follow through on that desire?
Well, you launch a full investigation using every means necessary, and then you prosecute those bastards to the fullest extent of the law.
Wrong. No. You would launch an effort to prevent any investigations and prosecutions.
That can't be right.
Well, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
These questions are kind of weird.
Oh, I assure you, these are standardized IQ test questions, sir. Next question. Here's a scenario. You got a person, they work for America and America only. What country does that person work for?
America?
That's incorrect. They work for Iran. Next question. Who's more beautiful as a woman? France's First Lady, or maybe man, or Candace Owens?
Candace Owens?
No.
Have you seen France's First Lady?
I would totally do her. If she had an OnlyFans, I would subscribe. Any reasonable man would. Okay, how would you describe what America first means?
Putting America's interests first above any other foreign nation.
No, you're actually describing anti-Semitism. Yuck. Okay, last question. What year did we first land on the moon?
We've never been to the moon.
No, we've been to the moon. We go all the time. Well, your test is complete. I've never seen a score like this before.
What'd I get?
You got an IQ of 65.
Is that high?
No, that's a very low IQ.
My life is literally ruined. He was right.
Who was right?
Just don't worry about that now. My big question is, what am I going to do with my life now that I've learned that I am so stupid?
Well, just remember, you're also a nut job. But yeah, you're pretty screwed. Really, the only option I can give low IQ people such as yourself is to like go off and open a Somali daycare.
I am completely devastated. Oh my God.
So sometimes when people call your names and like to make fun of you, you gotta make fun of it. Sometimes you gotta turn it into a joke. So I thought that was a good way to sum that up. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, the thing is Trump he seems like the type of person that's just willing to throw anybody aside. It doesn't matter if you helped him get where he needs to get. He don't give a damn. You see how he's talking about them. But also his idea of loyalty means that you have to agree with everything that he says and does. And that's just not real life. And nobody agrees with people and everything.
Your mic's making noise.
Oh, right now?
Yeah, it's doing that thing where you gotta, I think, unplug it, plug it in. And a little bit of Sabby noise, but yeah, I don't know that video. Like it was funny, but it's kind of like it's uncomfortable funny, but still funny.
I'm testing it now.
You're good.
Okay, yeah, I think I have to change out the cord, but yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm sorry, it had to end like on a kind of funny note because it's like he's making fun of himself. So I think it's pretty good that Alex Jones was able to do that. Sometimes you gotta do that kind of thing. But Trump was out here like wanting to be starting something, And this idea that people can't disagree, people can't criticize anything that you say or do, that's not loyalty. That's a cult-like mentality. And you would have to be like a straight up narcissist, man. That's just not realistic. Just not realistic. So that is it for me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Eric's going to close out the show here, and I will see you guys. Oh, did I forget? I'm so sorry. I almost forgot. Yes, sorry. Thank you for reminding me, Eric. Guys, just a reminder, our mutual aid event that's coming up May 9th. It's the pre-Mother's Day brunch and donation. If you can send baby diapers, personal hygiene products, body wash, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrush. If you want to send female sanitary items, we ask that you send pads, not tampons. You can mail those to the P.O. box for Boston Mutual Aid right here. So if you want to mail items, feel free to do so. Thank you to those of you who already sent items, because I already got some notifications from the post office that there's already supplies here. So thank you so much for those who have sent things. And if you don't want to send something, we offer two options just in case people don't feel comfortable doing the donation on Spot Fund, because some people don't. You can mail those items to the P.O. box, or you can donate to our Spot Fund for that event. Our goal is $2,000. We're at $970. We're going to use some of this fund here to get those grocery store gift cards as well that we've done before in the past. So I will share that Spot Fund link there in the chat. And thank you to all of you who have donated so far. Really do appreciate you guys. It's going far way here. And yeah, our mutual aid events have been going really well. And that's thanks to all of you guys. So someone asked me what is Spot Fund. Spot Fund is like GoFundMe, but it's easier to use. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's easier to use. GoFundMe sometimes can hold on to your funds. I had that happen to a friend of mine, and that's why, we've pivoted to Spot Fund. It's just easier, and they're more reliable. Let's just put it that way. They're more reliable. All right.
Yeah, didn't Gray Zone have issues with GoFundMe and holding their money and not liking
Gray
them because they're
Zone.
political?
Gray Zone, and I had a friend had medical issues with it too. Like I had a friend that was doing a fundraiser for like their surgery, and they had difficulty getting their funds too. So that's why I don't take the chance with GoFundMe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
Well,
That's it for
seems
me,
all right.
guys. Eric's going to read the super chats, and I will see you guys live again Tuesday evening.
All right. Well, let's Sabby call it a Sunday. And I'll read out some of these super chats. I wanted to mention a story I saw come across the old news wires, news whatever, about the post office. Actually, I have a couple versions of this story. Here we go. Here it is. Wait, that ain't it. Sorry, just getting it into the right place. And it's about, they're saying, the supposed story is that the post office is running out of money. And I just wanted to, the headline, out of Reuters is like, cash-strapped U.S. Postal Service suspends contributions to pension plan. And it just starts off and it's all over this framing of the post office isn't running well enough. It's not. I mean, it like to even say like the post office isn't making enough money or like as if it's supposed to turn a profit. It's viewing the post office as if it's a private business or a corporation. The post office is supposed to be a service. It's the Postal Service in general should be considered almost like a crown jewel of America. It should be something to be proud of. This whole idea that we have this Postal Service, it goes back to hundreds of years, and you can at its original version, I mean, you could stick an inexpensive stamp on an envelope and send it to somebody. Its point was never to make money or be a big business. The Postal Service was a service. It's supposed to be for the common good. And what happens is, the other thing I'll say about the post office is it also provides a lot of good public service jobs. It should be viewed more like we view the education system or the fire department. And, this idea that it's like saying, the fire department is losing money and, we got to do something about it. We got to, cut back service. There's this other headline here, they're also looking for a stamp price hike, of course. And they're suspending contributions to the pension fund because, of course, the pension funds are also under attack. It all fits into the framing of interests, right? There's the interests of the billionaire class, the top 0.1%, the huge corporations, and there's the interests of the 99%, and like things like pension plans and the post office itself. Billionaires and mega corporations don't see these things in their interest because what's in their interest is to extract as much money as possible out of our pockets and into their pockets. And they've been very successful at it because they corrupt our government and they run the show. And so it also comes down to like, what are we going to do about it? And whenever we're getting to that point of things, I say, look at 11 demands. And the concept is to try to spark a mass movement based on clear demands with a strong focus on corruption. So the post office story it is a pretty clear example of these kind of things with interests. It's the interest of the top versus the interest of the bottom or the 99%. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that for that one. But do check out 11 Demands. If you want more detail on the things I'm talking about, see the Substack posts. You got things like, what's the core problem, the challenge, and the solution. Two sets of interests. Excuse me. Two sets of interests kind of plays into what I'm talking about. It's not left or right. It's up versus down. And I think if you frame things in that way, it becomes a lot clearer. With something like this whole thing with Swalwell, it's the problem isn't even necessarily whether he's guilty of these accusations. I mean, they're serious. They should be investigated. It sure sounds like he's got no business in public office. But the other part of it is he's just another corrupt member of the Uniparty. And that's what we really should be talking about. Is he on the billionaire side or on our side? When it comes to Swalwell, when it comes to Trump, when it comes to leading Democrats like Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, leading Republicans like Johnson there. They're not on our side, I think is the key thing that we always need to land on. It's up to us, 99%, to have those clear demands, to come up with something that we can all get behind. And MCDS, right, is what I always like to pull into this. And I'll just say that before I jump into the super chats, right? MCDS. Get a scroll going here. Money, corruption, demand, solutions. If we put things in that framework, always follow the money and the corruption, have clear demands. When the demands will flow the solutions. If you do one thing out of everything with 11 demands on what I'm saying, I'll say use MCDS as your framework, and let's all figure stuff out from there, as a collective. Excuse me, just clearing out there. All right. And yeah, you can always find that stuff right there, 11demands.org. Let's see what we got for some super chats. Thanks for this one, Measured Man, who says, look into the JPTN Arizona insurance policy and you'll see so much different around TPUSA. It's so disturbing. We leave breadcrumbs on the timeline. Yeah, there's certainly lots to check out and investigate. And thanks for that one. Thanks for the super sticker, Adele. Appreciate that. And thanks for the super chat, Mike of Malice, Leon. He says, Sabby corporations are transactional personhoods. And yeah, I hear you. And that gets into that whole thing of needing that move to amend style amendment that says corporations are not people, money is not speech. I really think that Green Party candidates, a movement that we're making behind clear demands, I think getting that kind of constitutional amendment out there and passed should be a rallying call, something to really all kind of rally around as a thing to get done, to demand. It would bring people together. It would be something to really get behind and make happen, and to kind of center on, this is a core thing that we need to happen. We have to fix our Constitution in this very core way. Thanks for the super chat from NY Varsity Sports, who I know is Jason, who says, no Democrats, we don't disagree that Trump is a problem. We just disagree that you are the solution. And one way, that we would frame it is really any solution, any framing that portrays the two parties, Democrats and Republican Party, as significantly different entities is flawed. Like they are the uniparty. Yeah, the Republicans are worse. They push it further. I think of the parable of the fox and the wolf, right? The Fox are the Republicans, and they'll tear your throat out right away, and you know what you're getting. The Democrats are the Fox, and they'll smile at you and hide their teeth. But if you let the Fox in, you're still going to get eaten, just in a kinder, gentler way. We need a politics and a demands-based movement that rejects both the fox and the wolf. Thanks for this one from Daryl Henn, who says, people, please look up the entire clip of Kamala doing something specifically for Black people. Sabby, I wish you would have played the entire clip instead of a soundbite. Integrity above all. Not sure exactly what you're getting at there, Daryl, but I would say we've seen more than enough evidence to know who Kamala Harris is, what she's about, who she represents, what interests she represents. And so I don't think we need to do a lot more investigation to understand Kamala Harris and her role in this corrupt system. Thanks for this super chat from Mr. Marlon Wells. Take away the aid and weapons, and they would have to buy politicians with their own resources. Imagine that. I'm talking about Israel. Vote independent. There you go. And I would just say, whenever you talk about Israel, connect it to the billionaires, because billionaires are the real source of Israel's power. Thanks for this one, Skip. You said, get something before you vote for your party. Yeah, I mean, we should be viewing these politicians as employees, really. They work for us, and that's how they should be behaving. But we know the real score right now is they work for their billionaire donor owners. That's the big corruption that we need to fix. But the first step in fixing it is recognizing the core problem and having clear demands about it. Shout out to Justice by Karma for being a member for 7 months. Who says, don't ever call a leftist a liberal. We consider that an offensive insult to our identity, our intelligence, and our values. Yeah, it gets into that whole thing of what even is left. What does left and right really mean? I think it's best that we focus on, up versus down. And by up, I mean really up, as in billionaires. And by down, I mean the rest of us, the 99%. That the I don't know if you want to call it a battle, but the fight, the struggle between those two sets of interests is the real struggle. If you don't recognize that, then you're going to be confused, I guess is what I'd say. Thanks for this super chat from Pop Nut Soda, who says, thank you for giving us a voice. And Sabby thanks you, and I thank you. Appreciate that. And shout out to Z360, who says she's using talking about Kamala Harris. So she's using transactional voting to exploit the current administration, decline in approval and failures. Same cycle. When one party fails, people switch. I'm tired. Yeah, and I mean that's the game. You have one party come in and muck everything up, and then it goes to the other party and they muck it up in different ways. The real game is to just have us lurching, right, from one major party to the other major party. Our challenge, our task is to how do we break out of that? How do we inspire large numbers of people to break out of that with us? It starts with demands, and it comes with how do we get that out there? How do we inspire, literally millions of people is what it's going to take. I think corruption is the best issue we have in terms of inspiring people. If you ask people, is Congress, is our government corrupt? They'll say, of course it is. I feel like that's what every non-duopoly, every independent or green candidate should be focusing on is that corruption and calling it out as much as they can, and then build on that. And then, of course, when you start calling out the corruption, then the demand becomes clear. Fix it, fix the big money, fix the corruption. And once you get to that point, then you're down, you've done your MCDS, you have the solutions. Because if you clear and you see it, the demand is to fix the corruption, fix the big money, then, the solutions really become clear. And if you look at 11 demands in the list, number 1 is all about those solutions. And then this one was good from Skylar, the writer, talking about Kamala Harris saying, you can be a transactional voter as long as you don't ask us for nothing. That's the basically what Kamala and Dems were saying. And thanks also for this one, Marlon. What happened to separation of church and state? I hear you. And let's see. Shout out to the Flower Bro for being a member for a month. And they use their special member chat to say, just jumped when you were talking about J Street. People should know of the other Zionist PACs like United Democracy Project and Democratic Majority for, I think it's Israel. Yeah, for Israel. There's a lot of, there's all kinds of money sloshing out there in DC, in the political system. What all those interests, all that money has in common, the overriding thing that it's going to happen with all of it is it's going to be in the interest of the ones that have the most money, the ones who are really at the top of that pyramid, the billionaires. So they'll infight, they'll push for different things and different versions of it. But what they'll always do is agree on the things that benefit that billionaire class and the things that keep their grift, their theft going of money, resources from the 99% up into their pockets. That's the thing that we need to recognize, and we need to call out, demand an end to. We need clean elections. We need a clean government, a non-corrupt government. We're really not going to fix everything into anything and everything in a major way until we fix that. It's not what people always seem to want to hear, but it is just simply the fact that basically everything comes down to government. If the fix for these problems, the wars, the economy, healthcare, education, the whole list, it all goes through government. As long as we have a deeply corrupt government working for the billionaires, it's going to be this mess. It's going to be all effed up like this. If we can get together as a 99% movement with clear demands and decorrupt our government, even decorrupting it halfway, even a start, it would have a big impact. And the more we get down that road, the better this world and everything will be. But we're going to have to get to work on it with clear eyes. Thanks for the super chat, Helpful Harm, as we're working through our queue here, who says, Butch's sus, watch his interview on I Mix What I Like. Yeah, I mean, there's in fighting on the left too. I would say that Butch Ware is easily way better than any uniparty candidate, like any Republican, of course, and any Democratic, anyone who's running in those major parties. So I would say, let's put those things aside as much as we can. Let's focus on the important stuff about the corruption, about shaking up the system, getting a non-uniparty person in as governor of California would be a huge deal. And it doesn't need to be a perfect person or someone where everyone agrees on, or it's the mission of getting someone outside of those parties, whether it's a Green or an independent, is more important than these other issues. So I support Bush Ware, and I think we all should. It's he's our best shot right now at really shaking something up. Is how I would respond to that one. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for super chat, Brad Gilbert. Who says punished for taking CCP honeypot, not 8200 honeypot. All right. And thanks for this one, Helpful Harm. who says Ramsey Robinson for governor of California, PSL and PFP indoors. Well, I mean, if they're a serious candidate, we'd would like to hear more about them. And shout out to Jamin for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. And work our way down our queue here. Shout out to Goba44 for the super chat, who says, Sabby, you are a fixed part of my Sunday evening media diet just before due dissidents. All right. Happy to have you aboard. And yeah, we get good numbers on Sunday. So I think people are looking for something good to watch, and I hope we're giving that to them. Thanks, Marlon Wells, who says she said Satan Yahoo controls the anti-Trump. There you go. And shout out to Ray for this super chat, saying thanks for all you do. Appreciate that, Ray, and Sabby appreciates that very much as well. Thanks for this one from Mom's the Word. Dems, please consider centrist platform for most votes. Okay. And shout out to Justice by Karma, who says, would you agree to a definition of leftist being a supporter of the 11 demands, socialist common prosperity, anti-bigotry, anti-imperialism, anti-duopoly, and most of defining positions of the Green Party? Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. These things, do get complicated, and we always need to keep an eye on where the real fight is. I think, perhaps the most core definition of a leftist maybe should be a recognition of that battle of interests, right? of that core battle, that core fight, top 0.1% versus the 99%. And I think anyone who's on board with that, should be on board with the 11 demands and be in the running for being a part of that movement. And we want to be careful about not letting them divide us based on other things. We can certainly have debates and talk things out, and we should, just as long as we always come back to those core issues and remain together, in the core fight. All right, we got a little bit more here. I'm going to read some out from the Rumble rants. Let me see about bringing those up. Just a couple of clicks away from some Rumble rant display magic. Here we go. All right, thanks much for the paid rant on Rumble from Meteor Dreams, who says well, I'll just read it out. Who says, she is speaking against Israel, but the irony is she was at the Taiwanese prayer breakfast in December 25, hosted by the Sons of Jerusalem cult, a cult like the We Was Kang's cult. All right, talking about a Slotkin there, playing those Democratic Party games. And there's a little bit more here. We had a few late arrivals in the Rockfins that we don't want to ignore. Thanks for this Rumble rant, not the Rockfin. I keep saying Rockfin, from the Rumble. Thanks for this one from Unfug the World. GoFundMe takes a minimum of 10% of donations with a default of 15%. If $100 is raised, they get $10 to $15. Or if a campaign raises $1 million, GoFundMe gets 100 to 150K. Give, Send, Go takes 0 by default. Yeah, I hear you. There's definitely better options out there than GoFundMe. What's difficult is GoFundMe is the biggest player, and people know about it. So it is one people go to when they want to get a lot of clicks and a lot of potential traffic. I do think we should be doing it with the other ones. And thanks for this Rumble rant, Angry Pro, who asked, how do I contact you directly, Eric? And he says, book recommendation, We the Elites, Why the U.S. Constitution Serves the Few by Robert Obitz. I'm not that hard to reach. If you look on my personal website, erictred.com, or on the 11 Demands website, there are contact forms. So if you get into there, I'll likely get back to you. And thanks for this Rumble rant from Angry Pro, who says, Alexander of the Liberation News Network has explained why the Green Party isn't trustworthy. Long discussion. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to separate out the Green Party from particular candidates. It is, it's just not the same kind of animal that a Democratic Party or a Republican Party is. The Democratic and Republican parties exert very strong influence over their candidates and their politicians. They fund them. They direct money to them. They I want to say control, but let's say very much influence their policy positions. If a candidate in one of those parties steps out of line, they hear about it, and they are essentially threatened by, in terms of money, in terms of, you see, what do you call it? Primary opponents run against them. And so I do think we need to be careful about, being too worried about the Green Party as a national party. Frankly, if we're being honest, the Green Party as a national movement entity is really quite weak. It's not like you have to worry about a green takeover or Green Party interests taking over our government anytime soon. I'd love to have that problem instead of the current problems. So I would say, if people are seeing the Green Party as flawed, you could, one thing is people can get involved with the Green Party would be one option. People can, if they're looking to run as a candidate, they can run independent. Who is it out there? We have like Jose Vega is just running as a strictly independent candidate, so that's an option. We had our 11 Demands candidate panel the other day, and we had it was 3 Greens and 1 independent. But the Green Party candidates, like I just don't see a disadvantage or a problem with their running as Greens, even if the Green Party has had issues in the past, and the Green Party, can have issues. It's just such a weak, kind of chaotic entity. I think they're utilizing the Green Party as a way to get on the ballot, as a way to organize people. And I think we should be looking at those candidates' platforms. Personally, with 11 Demands, and I think with the 11 Demands Collective, we look at how do they stack up against our list of 11 demands. I would say all 4 of those candidates stack up very well. And so I support them. And I would advise anyone who agrees with the 11 Demands and that kind of movement to support them and help them out. That's part of the 11 Demand strategy, is to not support these uniparty candidates who don't meet our demands, and to give strong support to the ones that do. So yeah, I mean, I would, I just don't tend to get too concerned about, issues and things with the Green Party. Yeah, there are issues. It's not perfect. At the end of the day, it's really down to having a candidate on the ballot in the debates, raising these interests and these demands, and seeing what we can do in terms of getting them votes. And maybe getting 1 or 2 or 3 of them in, that would be huge. If any of these Green Party candidates got elected, I just don't see where there being a member of the Green Party would be a problem. That's they're going to go in. They're going to be a lot more independent and trustworthy than any uniparty candidate. All right. I think I've nattered enough here for tonight. I think we got through our super chats. I want to thank everyone for that. And for those I'm going to have more good stuff here as usual coming up here on Sabby Sabs. We'll be live again on this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. at our usual schedule. And see Sabby coming on, covering stories, and we'll see who we get on for guests. We're always working on new ones. I want to thank all of you for watching this, watching me, listening. And that's going to do it. Until then, until next time, I'll say thanks to all. Have a good night. Keep up that fight. And always check out 11 Demands. And we'll see you all next time. Thanks, everyone.